Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about God and how our identity is hidden in Him. I guess to start off, I struggled with my identity for a long time. I went through a lot. You could say that I literally, God said to me, He said, You were afraid of the fire and afraid of the sword, so I slayed you until you would trust me. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but this has to do with the slaying. And I won't go into all the details. I just wanted to share that word with you guys. Sometimes God has to do a lot to wake us up and get our attention. And I was so afraid to let go and give Him control that it cost me just about everything that I had. Uh, I remember loathing my life, feeling like Job, and just wishing I would die. I had boils and lesions on my skin that went undiagnosed for a year. They said unknown lesion, they said fungal, they said parasitic, and it ended up being, uh, you could say parasitic, or at least they never fully diagnosed it. But I needed 3 blood transfusions. It got to the point where I was terrified that I had taken like the mark of the beast because I broke out with painful boils and sores, and I screamed, and I remember biting up my tongue because it was so painful. Uh, to give you a little backstory of mine, I've been called the chosen one of God about 4 different times, 5 different times now, by 5 different sources who didn't know me. And it freaked me out because I didn't know what that meant. The first time was when I was a little girl. I actually said, Jesus, mommy said I was the chosen one. And I don't know why I said that or what I meant by it. I was a little girl. But then I was told years later, someone messaged me on Facebook and said, You're the chosen one of God. And I didn't know them, so I deleted them right away. Then I went to a women's conference when I was 17, and they said I was the chosen of God and that I was chosen to speak to the nations. And I, again, brushed it off and thought, oh, little old me, I'm not gonna, speak to anybody. That's just something that they say, witnesses, they're just telling me that. Uh, then I got deeper. I got arrested because I had a no contact agreement with my ex. And I messaged him saying, Help, I need money. I don't even remember sending it. And I got arrested, and I prayed for God to get me out of there. And then Tiffany, I finally had a cellmate. She said she dreamt about Isaiah 45. She said Isaiah 45 is what the Lord wants you to know. And it was labeled the Lord's chosen one. And I was like, wow, talking about bringing you out of captivity. I got bailed out a couple days later by someone named Pepe, and she wanted me to worship Lucifer. And in the passage it says, You have not acknowledged me. I am God and there is no other, but you have not acknowledged me. And it got me thinking, like, what do they mean? What does he mean? I've acknowledged God, so who's speaking? And then I read a book called The Rising of the Antichrist, and I was told I was having a son in a dream. A prophet of the Lord appeared to me and said, You're 3 to 6 weeks pregnant. I don't know why they said 3 to 6 weeks. That still hasn't come to me yet, but he said there will be consequences. And I said, Are you God? And he just disappeared. Uh, I was told I was to have a son, Revelation 12:13. I was awoken in panic. I said straight up, God said Revelation 12:13, and the woman gave birth to the male child. And I told everyone that God told me I was having a son. And then he would be a king, and his name was to mean victory of the people. And I had picked out the name Cole before I was told what his name would mean. I was reading The Rising of the Antichrist, and she was his chosen vessel, and she was called his chosen one, but this was talking about Lucifer, and he wanted her to believe in him and call him God, and she just didn't want to because she believes in God, the Bible. But why has he chosen her? Is the question. And he said, You are to name him. His name is to mean victory of the people. And I looked up Cole's name, and it means victory of the people. And I just kind of stopped. My blood ran cold, and I was like, this isn't a coincidence anymore. And then I started having dreams about Lucifer, Satan, saying he's my God and he's my provider. And all I could do was think he's lying, he's a liar. You can't believe him, you can't trust him. And then it was spoken to me. I said, God, why do you sometimes show me the future in dreams and sometimes you don't? He said, I want you to know I'm a God of provision. I said, okay, that's fair. And I couldn't really answer him after he spoke. He leaves you kind of dumbfounded. Um, but then he said, you were afraid of the fire and afraid of the sword, so I slayed you until you would trust me. And I have no doubt that this was part of the slaying, the fire and the sword. So what does the fire represent? What does the sword represent? I was afraid of his judgment. I was afraid of division. I was afraid of being alone. Um, I didn't know that he could chastise someone so much that they wanted to die because I wanted to die. Uh, I felt like Job. I lost custody of both my kids because I went into psychosis because of my PTSD. I lost my car. I went to jail. I lost my marriage. I had boils on my skin. Um, people. So, anyways,